Everyone, and certainly welcome to everyone who's new. It'd be nice to meet you. I'm really appreciating the music this morning, and the chalice lighting, and all of the joys and concerns that were shared. Very touching. So this morning, the message is on the topic of taking good care in all times. And what I'd like to consider together is actually a lot of questions. What is it to care for one another? In times of need, of course, but also in all times. What is it to invite a sacredness into the mundane, allowing the ordinary to be the training grounds for the extraordinary? I don't have the answers to these questions, but I have a personal experience to share with you today, as well as some reflection. And I will invite you to reflect on your own experiences, perhaps drawing out your own wisdom. This topic came up as a curiosity for me during repeated travels to and from my parents who live downstate over the past 3 months, with bouts of caregiving and assisting them. And in my tiredness, taking care of my life and ordinary responsibilities in between. All of this I was doing questionably at times. It got me wondering, though, if I were to root in everyday experience as sacred, could I be more skillful in stressful situations? In one way or another, we've all experienced giving or receiving care. And many have experienced the shift or flip in care, in the care relationship that happens between elders and younger generations. With regard to aging parents, some friends report their parents have it all figured out, and they don't really need all that much from them. Others are thrust into a very hands-on experience. Some people even quit their jobs and take on caregiving full-time, right? Some people, though, don't have a relationship with parents, or lose one or both parents way too early for that relationship to change. It seems to happen, though, this relationship change in all different kinds of ways, and this is just one of many kinds of relationships we have with one another. With my dad, this shift happened suddenly over a decade ago when he experienced a hemorrhage in his brain when he was having a procedure at the hospital. With my mom, this shift has been gradual and less visible. I will say my dad's still alive. He needs caregiving, but he's doing well. For at least a few years, my siblings and I have been encouraging my mom to engage in options around moving out of their beloved home for many years, whose maintenance responsibility largely falls upon my mother. Progress on this front has been slow, sometimes met with interest and appreciation for the care and concern, and other times with resistance. Probably most of the time, it wasn't a priority in my mom's busy life. Of course it wasn't. Makes sense? After twice declining an available apartment, though, that came up in an assisted living facility in their town, which is the only option for them to stay in their town, my mom finally accepted the third offer that came to her in April of this year. That night, while she was experiencing a little bit of buyer's remorse, my dad got tangled in the sheets of his bed while trying to get up to go to the bathroom, and he took a fall. All in all, he was quite fortunate, As my nephew put it, he broke his neck in the best possible way. So he had 9 weeks in a cervical collar, several stitches in his head, and 2 black eyes. He needed to be accompanied to sleep, to the bathroom, changing, and all of the activities of daily life that would require one to move their neck. He could no longer do the things he most enjoyed, like light yard work and puzzles. My mom was unable to manage this on her own. So my siblings and I stepped up in our various ways and abilities into physical and emotional caregiving while simultaneously working to downsize and move our parents on a rather short timeline. Naturally, we would have preferred if things had unfolded differently. That maybe we could have scheduled this and bit it off in small bites. But that's not what happened. We also could have been resentful about the way it did unfold. But on reflection, it seems to me that feelings like resentment, although completely normal, consume a lot of energy that isn't really available when you're in a situation like that. What I came to understand was that this situation brought us all into an intimacy out of necessity. But it took pauses and breaks in order for me to be able to see it that way. For me, that meant going home, taking care of my life, and finding rest in that which is comforting to me. Or when that wasn't possible, to try and find rest right in the middle of things. As Frank Ostaseski, those are his words, he's the former founder of the former Zen Hospice Project in San Francisco. That meant for me trying to get a little bit of sleep, staying nourished, bringing awareness to just this very breath right now in the middle of whatever is happening. Spending maybe 5 minutes walking or weeding the garden, how precious those 5 minutes could feel then. So I would like to invite you to bring to mind your own experience offering care in any context. This may be or have been with a parent, a child, a friend, maybe a neighbor, a coworker, a stranger, a pet, a wild animal. Maybe it's yourself. When in your life have you been called into caring service? Maybe this is fresh for you right now. Maybe not. In the situations that arise for you in which you have been called to offer care, what has been your go-to reaction or response? No judgment with yourself, just notice. Do you tend to jump into action with both feet? Are you that kind of person? Do you tend to freeze or feel paralysis? Do you lead with resistance, resentment, anger, or denial? Or does love and a calmness lead you into an appropriate response? Is there something else? Offering care when there is a serious need or through a stressful event is not easy. And these situations can bring out all sorts of things in us. Some family members stop speaking to one another in the midst of caregiving stress. And likewise, we've all seen, heard of, or experienced tragedies or disasters that bring people together in amazing acts of generosity and goodwill. Think of stories you've heard of or experienced yourself, like maybe the Father's Day flood here in the Keweenaw a handful of years ago, which still kind of gives me the goosebumps when I think about all the generosity that was shared. One of the objectives of my last visit with my parents was to find a dog trainer who might help my mom work with their dog's separation anxiety, which has developed since the move and causes her to bark incessantly when they leave her alone. Naturally, this is not enjoyed by their new neighbors and likely not to be tolerated for long. According to the trainer, when triggered into anxiety, a dog can be helped to relearn safety in the triggering environment and to engage their coping skills when they are triggered. Chewing and licking apparently help regulate dog nervous systems. So making sure they have toys and puzzles that can engage them in these behaviors is key. Our trainer directed us to start with simple and easy practices several times a day while we were home, and gradually add complexity, and then practice stepping away for short periods at first, and then lengthening the periods of time we are gone. This got me to thinking about just how important practice is, because we can be told and understand this, but unless we actually follow through and do this regularly with the dog, nothing's going to change. And it got me thinking that perhaps with a steady practice of caring for ourselves and one another in the field of our everyday lives, that we might gradually recondition our own go-to responses and learn how to calm our own nervous systems, building resilience and endurance, compassion for ourselves and others for the more challenging situations when and should they arise. Looking at the practice of care then, what does or might it look like to practice deep care in your everyday life? Starting with something simple and non-charged. Perhaps when you wake up, you can take notice of where you are. Perhaps it is the act of getting out of bed each morning, the first few sips of coffee or tea, or your first few bites of breakfast. Gradually, perhaps we can add time and complexity, like the dog trainer instructed, toward treating our regular, everyday interactions with one another as sacred practice. One building upon the next. Maybe with the person at the grocery store, the difficult person in a meeting, your partner, your family, your surroundings, yourself. In everyday interactions, can we notice with kindness and curiosity if we tend toward being hurried or patient, judgy or compassionate? Can we practice really seeing each other in everyday life? Can we practice being present moment to moment, starting with just this one? There's a saying in Zen whose origin I'm not quite sure of that goes like this: make a whole cloth of your life. let us remember that making a whole cloth of our lives, or making any cloth for that matter, happens stitch by stitch, moment by moment, in taking good care of our lives and each other every single day, recognizing the ordinary as essential for and not separate from the extraordinary. Thank you for your attention.